Welcome to my first catch, clean, and cook video. Today we'll be focusing on Ling, or red hake. This video was filmed on Sunday, May 15th, very foggy day off the coast of Sandy Hook, about 7 to 8 miles. And we're bottom fishing with bait. Clams, squid, and clam necks are great to attract both sea bass and ling. Water temp is starting to warm up. We're in the mid-50s and we're using top and bottom rigs, typical sea bass top and bottom rigs with very short leaders. And we're spot locking directly over structure. Okay, it's 2 days before the start of the New Jersey sea bass season. And the sea bass must know it. First mate Rob here is catching an 18-inch sea bass. Beautiful fish, which we would have normally taken home for dinner, but today it has to go back. Nothing special with the techniques to catch ling. You got to be able to hold bottom, so use whatever size weight gets you there and keeps you there. You'll feel tap, 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 set the hook, pretty straightforward. There's absolutely nothing special to cleaning a ling. You're going to make your first cut behind the pectoral fins as you normally do. Angle it a little bit towards the front of the head because there's some meat there, I guess what would be a shoulder area. You want to make sure you get that. Your second cut is going to run along the dorsal ridge area all the way down the tail. And then I like to flip the fish over and make those two cuts on the other side too. Some fish, when you fillet one side off, it just makes it more difficult to make that first cut. So I'll make those cuts on each side before I actually fillet the meat off of the bones. Now you're going to just take your fillet knife and follow along the bones in the back down to the spine. When you get to the spine, you're going to kind of hop over to the bottom loin area and follow that all the way down to the tail. For the rib cage area, I just ride the knife over the rib bones to try to get as much of the meat over the ribs as you can, but don't go too crazy here. There's not a lot there, and you don't really want to puncture the rib in the gut area. Now just repeat the same process for the other side of the fish. Skinning these fillets is straightforward as well. There's no bloodline on these fish, it's all just white meat, so you could place your blade at a little bit of a downward angle and run along the skin and you'll get a nice clean fillet out of it. And same thing on the other side. Okay, we have our ling all filleted, skinned, and patted dry. This is a very spongy fish, so there's only a few different things you could do with it. It's very delicate. It'll fall apart and if you were to grill it or fry it, it just doesn't hold together well. So this is a really good way to use this fish. We're going to little kosher salt. You only have to do one side. Little fresh pepper. And this is going to go into the oven, 400-degree oven for 8 minutes. I have here half of an onion. I prefer a Vidalia or a sweet onion. All we had on hand though was a white onion. So this is all diced up. We're going to saute this until brown. While that's sauteing, we'll mix up the rest of the ingredients. There's 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. I have a little bit more fish, so I'm going to put just a little bit more in. 1.5 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. There's one. There's a half. And a half a teaspoon of sriracha sauce. Maybe a little more if you like them hot. You know it. Whole teaspoon of sriracha sauce. 1.5 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Half teaspoon of black pepper, Got 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice. Two egg whites. And we need some breadcrumbs. These are panko. You could use whatever you have though. About 3/4 of a cup. Fish is done. Let's go take that out. Okay, the fish is done, but it needs to cool. We also need to drain off any water. While you're waiting for the fish to cool, blend all the ingredients together in the bowl. The onions have cooled, so time to blend those into the mix. Now if you're cooking these this night and you wanted to fry them, save this pan. You don't need to dirty another pan. You could also bake these, you could air fry them. Okay, our fish is cooled. This is a 1/2 cup. We're going to use this to portion out individual cakes. Now if you're going to freeze these in a vacuum sealer, pretty much this is all you need to do. If you're going to cook them right now, I like to flatten them a little bit. And you could cook that just like that, or you could coat it in some panko on the outside. Totally up to you. Basically making hamburgers out of them. Four to 5 fish will make you a batch of about 8 or 9 of these fish cakes. I'm going to split the batch in half. I'm going to put some in the vacuum sealer and deep freeze them and cook the rest of them up fresh. We're going to fry those since we already dirtied that pan. I'm just going to coat these in a little bit of panko. Okay, here I'm browning them on each side for 3 to 4 minutes. You could use butter, you could use olive oil. You could also bake these or even put them in the air fryer. All methods work. Here's the finished product. Got our Hake cakes, got some candied corn here, and some air fryer broccoli. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Tight lines.